Welcome to Soft Talk. This slogan, all be happy, all be well. It's one sweet slogan, isn't it? The rising Nepal sports that slogan. It shouts that slogan every morning. Today, the rising Nepal, a part of the state-owned and state-run Gorkhapatra Corporation, is marking its 57th birth anniversary. This slogan, in fact, it's this translation of the Sanskrit slogan, part of it at least, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. This line, all be happy, all be well, pretty much sums up that Sanskrit poem, part of that poem. So it's a beautiful slogan, no doubt. Let me quote a report from The Rising Nepal. This is in the context of The Rising Nepal marking its 57th anniversary. Minister for Communication and Information Technology, that is Minister for Information and Communication Technology, Gyanendra Bahadur Karki has asked the Rising Nepal to focus on delivering accurate information and not worry about singing the government's praise. Indeed, that is what the Rising Nepal has been mostly doing. It's a government mouthpiece, unlike the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, which is under the purview of the Parliament. The Rising Nepal is under the purview of the government, and it serves the interest of the government, even if it is at the expense of the sovereign Nepalese. There are various questions regarding the kind of journalism that the British Broadcasting Corporation practices. It has a very narrow worldview, this British centric worldview that is not digestible to a large audience out there. But when it comes to giving voices to the opposition, giving space to the fringe voices, there can be no comparison between the BBC and the state media of Nepal. So this slogan, at times, it sounds like a mockery of the people, because this slogan has been as part it has been a part of the Rising Nepal for so many decades. But this slogan, like all other government slogans, seem quite hollow. Slogans like peaceful and prosperous Nepal, slogans like happy Nepalese, prosperous Nepal, that is Sukhi Nepali, Samriddha Nepal. All these slogans, they are just slogans. These slogans bear meaning if they are translated into action. In the absence of implementation of these slogans, they remain mere slogans. So they don't have much meaning anyway. Let's talk about this liberalization and privatization, this wave of liberalization and privatization followed after the political changes of the 1990s. A number of such organizations, public enterprises, successive governments, the Nepali Congress government in particular, under Finance Minister Ram Saran Mahat, privatized a number of uh, public utilities, number of public enterprises. These corporations, state-run corporations, had become a liability to the state. Why? Because these uh, corporations seconded as some recruiting centers for cadres of various ruling political parties. In a way, these corporations, these entities were used to provide jobs to the princes, the crown princes, and the princelings of a new Nepal. After the privatization of so many of these corporations, this recruitment of the chosen ones, the blue blooded ones, into government undertakings came to a halt. But even during that era of privatization, the Nepali Congress government in particular did not privatize state owned, some of the state owned enterprises. They included the Gorkhapatra Corporation and the Nepal Oil Corporation. The intent of it, the intent behind not privatizing these entities was quite clear. The idea was to continue to recruit political cadres of different hues and shades in these corporations. And this recruiting continues to this date. This change of the chairman and other high profile officials in these entities continues to this date. So this slogan sounds like, again I say, this slogan sounds like this mockery, this satire against the Nepali people. Some princes, some crown princes, some princelings of the Republican era continue to enjoy these pay and perks, attractive pay and perks that these entities offer for the rest of the people. This all be happy, all be well doesn't have any meaning. It's meaningless. It's just a slogan and nothing else. Because of the COVID pandemic and because of the Russia-Ukraine war and because of the ongoing uh, conflict situation between India and China and drawing of international powers, including the superpower, into that conflict. the world is not as it used to be. Several political pundits, several wongs have started warning about this Cold War 2.0, and all this comes at a time when the world is experiencing, already experiencing a huge recession. And Nepal, a, a poor country, a country with weak institutional capacity, an ill-governed country with its political, with its ruling dispensation corrupted to the core. Nepal stands much to lose. Nepal, Nepal faces this economic crisis. Nepal faces multiple crises. Ill prepared at this juncture, this slogan doesn't have much meaning. It means nothing to the people. It's a satire to the people, even as the Rising Nepal marks its 57th anniversary. An entity, a state run entity like the Rising Nepal, of course, can just keep celebrating hundreds of, like, 1000th anniversary, because it just receives funding from the government. So it's no big deal. Whereas for other media organizations, private media in particular, startups like us, it's a very difficult existence. This Nepal it has been seeing several indicators going down, spiraling down. Despite the country going down, the rising Nepal, I guess, will continue to rise and shine because of its very name. Then there's another piece of interesting news. Nepal Army personnel currently serving in UN peace missions cross 6,000 mark. It's a pretty long headline, and I find it quite hard to complete it in one breath. Nonetheless, I struggled a bit and I somehow managed to do it. Let me read a portion of this report. It's published in My Republica daily. It reads, a significant milestone has been achieved in the history of Nepali Army's involvement in peacekeeping operations at the call of the United Nations, with more than 6,000 NA troops deployed in the mission at a time. The number of NA personnel currently deployed, sorry for this interruption, I find it quite hard to read long sentences in one breath, and maybe my English is not that polished as well. I apologize for all these inconveniences you may have in understanding my presentation. Nonetheless, let me try. The number of NA personnel currently deployed in the UN peacekeeping missions has reached 6,016, with the latest deployment of 202 peacekeepers in the Central African Republic, I think that is Congo, on December 13. All right, Nepal is like, it has owned it has won a reputation for contributing to UN peacekeeping missions around the world. That just boosts our image, our national image in the international arena. But there are sad stories at home also. One wonders what is the most important purpose of a national army. Is it not defending its national sovereignty? Is it not about defending the international borders? Is it not taking care of national security? Is a national army not supposed to be at the forefront of national defense and security? If it indeed is, has our national army been able to discharge these duties? Of course, it is under the constitution of the Federal Secular Democratic Republic of Nepal. But has this time, has the time not come for the national army to do some soul searching? Of late, we have been receiving reports about uh, our neighbors' unilateral action, steps like constructing embankments along the Nepali border uh, at Mahakali. This has been a contested territory. This the Mahakali river banks, the Tanakpur area, Brahmadev Mandi in the far west, apart from the 400 square kilometers of land up in the mountains, that is the Kalapani, Lipulek, Limpiadhura region. Nepal has been consistent in its stance that this land, this 400 square kilometers of land belongs to Nepal. Despite the Indian presence there, I have heard a couple of uh, veteran Indian journalists pointing that possession is half the ownership. I heard that statement maybe in a different context. Uh, I heard that statement from Shekhar Gupta. I wonder if that is the dominant mindset of the Indian state. How does the National Army view these developments along the border? What is its stance regarding our bleeding borders? This question, it becomes quite relevant at a time when our army is conducting joint military drills with the Indian Army. This drill started just the other day uh, with the Indian Army at Rupandehi, uh, at this place called Saljundi in Rupandehi. It's called the Surya Kiran, and it's a 15-day exercise. It's a 15-day joint military exercise between the two armies of our two countries. This exercise comes, I mean, this exercise in fact comes despite tensions along the Nepal-India border, in particular along the Mahakali river banks of late. Just a few days ago, as I mentioned in some other presentations, a Nepali child died when the Indian contractor tasked with the construction of a road across the Mahakali. Uh, this what happened is when the contractor uh, blasted the when the contractor was conducting blasts for the road construction, splinters flew and hit that boy. Pieces of boulders flew and hit that boy, killing him. And then, after a couple of children sustained injuries in similar incidents, India has been trying to just channelize the Mahakali River towards Nepal in Darchula district, Bangebagar in particular, to protect its settlements. But this unilateral action on the part of India is against international norms and values. It's against international practices. How does the national army of this country, the army that is supposed to protect Nepal, that is supposed to defend Nepal, view these developments? There has been like ambiguity at best regarding these tough questions, and these despite uh, tensions, despite ratcheting up of tensions along the border, these military drills between our two countries, what do they in fact indicate? This is an annual exercise, so it's nothing new about it there. But then this violation of Nepal's borders, violation of Nepal's national security concerns, illegal entry of people through the porous border into Nepal is also nothing new. Nothing new is the atrocities against Nepal and the Nepalese living, living along the border. So it has become a kind of an everyday affair. This should worry not only Nepal but also India, because our two countries enjoy very friendly relations, ages old relations, at least in the officialese, if not in day to day lives. There are instances of good relations, good exchanges between our two countries, but incidents like stone pelting across the border, incidents like constant efforts to change the status quo along the border, these incidents only empower those elements that are bent on just worsening the relations between our two countries. I hope Indian and Nepali officials take cognizance of this matter, this irritant, and leave no stone unturned to just improve these relations, to improve these relations and by addressing, in fact, Nepal's security concerns. I'm stressing on Nepal because we are a small country and I am a Nepali and I should be concerned the most about our interests. The fact also is that India is a huge country, it's a huge military power, it's a huge and a robust economy, and it can defend its interests. Whereas the Nepali state is too weak to defend its interests. Its political leadership is it's too weak to defend the national interest of Nepal vis-a-vis its relations with India and other powerful countries. As for our national army, for our national military, there will come a time when it will have to just say enough is enough when it comes to violation of Nepal's borders, violation of Nepal's security concerns. But it will be better if just the government of the day takes a tough posturing on this matter and just instead of just covering up such incidents, puts them on the table during talks with Indian counterparts. If it doesn't dare do that, it will be just doing a disservice not only to Nepal but India as well in the long run. With this remark, I wrap up this edition of Soft Talk, but not without a small request. We are trying to just promote citizen journalism here. We request you to subscribe to our channel, comment on our presentation, and press the like button. Your support, it means an awful lot to us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.